but after having forecasted here now for a number of years, the Euro tends to be more accurate. However,
hurricanes too, I think.
how's that?
I think that's true about the hurricane path.
Yes, but when it gets off, well, it's like garbage in, garbage out. So when it gets a little bit off, it gets way off. There was a hurricane that impacted North Carolina 5-6 years ago now. And the GFS had said from the very beginning, it's gonna take this path. And the Euro kind of went against that, and most of your news weather forecasters and meteorologists were saying, hey, the Euro is saying this as opposed to the GFS. We're gonna go more with that line of thinking. Do you know that the GFS, it stayed with that original story, and that's exactly what happened, whereas the Euro ended up kind of being wishy-washy. And that's kind of where we come in. We're doing a verification and an initialization of these different models. How consistent are they staying? Like the best app that I like to use for weather, if you want weather at your house, is Weather Underground, because they will tweak the different models that are being fed into that data, and you can see, okay, they have been saying for Wednesday that it's gonna be 80 degrees, 80 degrees, 80 degrees, 80 degrees. Well, that's pretty good, consistent data, as opposed to say one day they're saying it's gonna be 80 degrees on Wednesday, the next day they say, oh, it's only gonna be 72 on Wednesday. That's not consistent. So then you wanna start looking around at other data maybe. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, there have been studies done, and it's hard to verify that model data, so they have to pick, honestly, something simple. And what they picked is 500 millibar heights around the globe, and 500 millibars is 18,000 feet. And so that's not impacted by surface terrain. And so that's 18,000 feet, well above the surface, and it's all across the globe. And then they kind of have to average it, because what do you pick specific points to verify? Is it like over New York City and over Los Angeles and Tokyo? But you gotta average it. So it's very difficult to get a real answer on that. Now, for people focusing on one spot, like if we were here and actually this was our career and we were getting paid and all that fun stuff, we could verify that every day for Pagosa. We could do that, but that's a 24/7, 24 hours a day,
That's
job.
what we did back
So
in the
the only
day.
study's really been an average across other than
Yes, at one level at 18,000 feet. And that study says the Euro is consistently better.
And we used to do studies all the time back in the Air Force. One that always comes to mind is there in Colorado Springs. We did a cross mountain gradient pressure study, so that if you have a cold front that comes through and you have high pressure that sets up over out in Kansas, and we checked, I think, Garden City and one other place, and we would subtract the pressure then from Grand Junction, and you would come up with a number. Well, if that number was above like +4, that meant that you were gonna set up strong easterly winds coming across from Kansas, and you're just right behind a front, so now you have cold air, and you're getting orographically lifted all across the Colorado plains there, and 9 out of 10